Welcome to O.P.O.P, the podcast, Operation Protect Our Peace.
I'm Stacey.
I'm Sarah.
Tune into O.P.O.P as we expose all the hard stuff to get to the sweet stuff.
You'll get the truth, plot twists, and the pivots you need to protect your peace.
Life hits hard,
but with God, O.P.O.P hits harder.
Hey, Joy Stealers.
We're coming for you.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to O.P.O.P, the podcast, Operation Protect Our Peace. I'm Stacey.
And I'm Sarah.
And you are in for a treat. You're about to hear a wild ride. You are. I read through this, and you are about to hear Sarah actually name the injuries from start to finish of what actually she has been through. I thought I had a few. No, I got nothing compared to you. All right.
That's why I dye my hair. I have gray hair, and I have a lot of good face cream.
So I can't wait for you to. Their jaws are going to be on the ground like mine was. So
you know, it's sad. I mean, it's like sad, funny. I don't have half of them in here. I have more. I had to just quickly 12 pages worth, but I had to like,
wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I can't literally, because like, it's so crazy how many injuries I've had in freak accidents, which is why I finally got prayed over.
Yeah.
Last year, or whenever year was. And they're like, maybe you have a curse on your life. And so no joke, the church prayed over me. And they were like, we pray against like all these weird spirits and demonic attack. And I haven't had any crazy injuries the last year. So I actually think it was, which we can talk more later on another episode. I think it'd be kind of fun, you and I, to dig into it of like, is any of this weird stuff related to like generational curses and like things that I may have like involved myself in? Who knows? A little weird, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, but that's why I call it incredible. It's not happy stuff that happened to you, but if half of it is not in here and this is that, once they hear it, that is what is incredible, because I know you now. So yeah. Knowing what you've gone through, and I know your other part of your story, that's why it's incredible. Thanks. So take it away.
All right, here we go. Age 3, broken arm, monkey bars. Dun, dun, dun. So this is actually funny. If you know my story, my sister, dun, 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 was supposed to watch me, the one who hated me and tried killing me. She was supposed to watch me on the monkey bars. My mom was like, hey, watch Sarah. Or 18 months. I wasn't 3. I was 18 months. A year and 6 months. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how I would climb the monkey bars. I was an adventurous little lady. But she was supposed to watch me. And apparently the bystander that was watching and witnessed this saw Emily not watching me. And I went up the monkey bars and I just let go. I went, boop. And so I put my hands down or arm down. And then I broke I don't know if it was my left or right arm. I'll have to ask my mom. But it was actually sad, because then there was a CPS case. Because when you bring an 18-month-old into the hospital, they're concerned. Right? How did your 18-month-year-old break your arm? So yeah. I was in the hospital, and my parents were so sweet, and they stayed the night with me, and it was just the kindest thing. I know it's going to sound kind of nutty, but I actually remember being in the back of the car going to the hospital. And I, really quickly, fun fact, I actually had the best memory up until I was 25 when I had the when I had the 10th horrific concussion, but the first, like, such a severe concussion, it took away a lot of my memory. And it was interesting because up until then, I could tell you everything as a kid. Like, most people say you don't have memory until like 7 or 6 or 7 forward. I could tell you specific details. Like, and that's why that's been my prayer of God, please restore my memory fully. Give me all my memories. Give me all the things that I've experienced, because I want to be able to talk about them and share them. And I also think that that's like Satan being like, ha, I'm going to actually take away some of your memories, so you can't talk about these things, because God showed up in them and there's like miraculous things in them. So anyways, I digress. So I broke my arm at 3 or 18 months. I'm going to fix that now so I can actually, speaking of bad memory, 18 months. And then in my story as well, flying through the car window as a kid, getting severe whiplash. But because of that car accident, the doctors discovered I had scoliosis on the x-ray. And so then I dealt with scoliosis as a kid, but it got worse. During growth spurts, your scoliosis gets worse. So if you have it at 6 or 7, then it's like, okay, you have a curve. But then as you grow, as your body changes, it gets worse. And so mine got severely worse. And so I ended up actually having a back brace when I was 13. Or I was told by the doctors at the end of age 12, I needed to have a back brace. It was, hey, your back is so bad, you either need to have surgery Or you need to try a back brace for a year, because then the back brace can get it down a few degrees. You don't have to have surgery, because I was like 2 or 3 degrees away from like a mandatory surgery. It's shaped as an S, and it's also a little bit twisted. And I should try and find that photo and show it to you. But I ended up doing the back brace, which was horrific. It was like a clamshell. It was so painful. It was so horrific. And what it did is it forced your spine to maneuver. So it was literally like think of someone grabbing a big like chunk of tissue and then just like maneuvering it with your hand, like pushing it across your back. And then you would like tighten the strap, and there was like levels of the strap on it. And oh, did I tell that story? That's how Emily, when she punched me in the stomach, I put the back brace on. Did I ever share that story?
No.
Yeah, because when my sister used to beat me up, I ended up putting the back brace on, and I was like, Emily, let's see what you got, in front of her guy friends, because I was like, ha ha ha, she's gonna punch me and she's gonna break her wrist. Sure enough, she like punched me as hard as she could, and then I had my back brace on underneath and it hurt her wrist, and then she never beat me up after that. But so I did the back brace, and then actually helped a little bit. But I got to a point where I couldn't do it anymore. I was in too much pain. My back was covered in black and blue bruising. I had huge lumps and knots, and I was in excruciating pain every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up just not doing it. And I was like, I'm just going to see if I can get healed through exercising and physical therapy, which helped as well. So I was able to eventually get my degrees down. And over the course of time, as I continue to get healthy and work out, I'm now probably like a 27. I haven't checked in a while, which I should. But I think I was at like 52 degrees. I think it was 52 or 49. I know it sounds weird that I can't remember which one, but at 54 is when you have to have surgery. It's like, oh my gosh, like you gotta fix this. So anyhow, because of that though, I was in pain, and unfortunately I still am in a lot of pain most of my life. And so I've learned how to deal with the pain. It's been either like sharp and excruciating pain, or it's been dull pain. It's caused a lot of headaches and rigidity, hard to travel, hard to sleep. And so as a kid in high school and college, I just kind of was like, okay, pain management, because it wasn't fixable. And so then on top of that, I've been in countless car accidents, over 13, and they've been compounding each other, right? So like, if, the first 4 were horrific and then the 5th one was just like a light fender bender, when you're in that many car accidents, your back and neck are so fragile at that point with whiplash that it's like, you could blow on the car and go, and it's like, oh, my neck. And so I spent most of my life in chiropractors, massages, physical therapy, acupuncture, infrared saunas, trying to get inflammation down, because my body was just like so angry, right? I mean, being in that many, it was hard. But one of the interesting ones was I was hit by a semi-truck. I think it was 2018, 2017. So I think it was 2017. So 2017, I was hit by a semi-truck in LA, and it didn't see me because I had a tiny car. And so it actually kept shoveling me on the freeway. Story for another time, crazy story. The cops like were corrupt and wouldn't let me out of the car. And then it was like a reverse suit, and there was a fake witness. I mean, the stories in my life, right? Like the random things, you're like, what? That's crazy. But then that started all the pain all over again, because I hadn't been in accidents for a while. And so that was like whiplash all over again, all the pain all over again. And then that year was actually the year that I had a hard time in my marriage, because I was gaining weight because I couldn't work out. And again, like, right, my identity is how I look. One of the things that I was pruned from is my identity is not in my image, right? And so I had to learn that if you can't work out because you're in so much pain, you're forced to face the truth of you are going to gain weight. You are not going to feel great about yourself. You're not going to look in the mirror and also feel great about yourself. And so instead of unraveling, because my identity has been in my looks, and I've always been able to work out and fix it, being like, it hurts to do yoga. It hurts to do physical therapy. Like, what does this season look like? So, a year after that, the exact day and date, I was hit in Los Angeles on my way to work, on a different work, at my new job. And I realized, holy cow, I'm not driving next year. Next October, on that date, I will be at home. So then the 3 Octobers after that, I literally took work off. And I was like, Rob, I'm not coming in. I am staying home.
I don't blame you.
I'm working from the house. Anyhow, so, okay, scoliosis, car accidents, so many fun things, concussions. Here we go. So I've had a lot of concussions. I mean, guys, if I had to give like a count, more than 12.
Wow.
For sure more than 12, because my lifestyle, I got kicked in the head, sat on, dropped on my head, skiing, snowboarding, surfing, all like wakeboarding. I blacked out and, couldn't have memory. And again, those compounded too. So, and also my sister used to beat me up as a kid, as I said. And so one of the things that would happen is she would chase me around the house and I would run as fast as I could to try and get out of her way. Or to get away from her. And I would look behind me as I was running, and we had these huge columns in my house. So I would run and I would look, and then I would whack my head and fall backwards, and then she would stop chasing and beating me up because I would wake up, after blacking out, to her over my head, having empathy, and actually feeling bad. So as a kid, concussions in that regard. And then I did gymnastics. I used to do twists, back tucks, and layouts. I was a competitive gymnast as a kid, with cheer and dance, and I fell on my head a few times with that. And then as a cheerleader, I was a flyer, dropped a lot on my head, and then I switched to being a back spot, thinking it would be safer. But then I would get kicked by the flyers, right? If they're falling, I would try and hold them. Broken nose, painful neck, all the things. Volleyball, played volleyball for years, started when I was 10, and I got some severe concussions because I was a little bit nutty. And I was known for the girl that would always get the ball. And so if someone shanked the ball, I would sprint as fast as I could across the bleachers, across the ref table, or as far away as it could. And I would actually get it. I don't know how I had thank you, Dad and Mom, for those genes, but I actually had crazy speed. So I would get the ball, but I would lay out my body. I would like fling my body on the ground. And so I would hit my head sometimes, or I would hit it on the bleachers, or even at tournaments, I would just be standing there. This is where people were like, we're going to call you Bubble Girl. So my nickname is actually Bubble Girl. I forgot to tell that in here. It was just so mortifying. It was always the story of like, how does Sarah have so many injuries? Like it was this horrible negative attraction to my body. Thank God it's not anymore. Satan, you have no right in my life anymore. And even like in high school, I fell down the cement stairs in my skirt. Forgot to tell that in here. It was, I think, the first week, but I was running to go get my books, and it was water. It was wet. It had rained, so it was slippery. And so when I turned the corner, my legs flipped up in the air, my head tomahawked, and then I flew down the stairs that were cement. So I like scraped my knuckles. And 3 of my guy friends were at the bottom of the steps, and they look up and they're like, their mouths are just wide open. And so then it was the joke of like, this is Sarah, like walking around, and then whoop, there she goes. So anyways, weird things like that. Just, stuff that not one human would ever want to go through. Okay. And then injuries that affected me personally, mentally, emotionally in high school were my identity in volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a 5'5" volleyball player that was an outside hitter. And my ego, my pride, it was like, yeah, like I have hops. Like no one knows that I can jump and I'm good. And like, here's this 5'5" girl showing up and I'm about to block and they're making fun of me. Like, yeah, right. This girl won't be able to. And I got him because I could jump like crazy. And so, anyways, we had a junior Olympic weekend of trying out for the junior Olympics. Our team, it was 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I didn't get enough of my homework done. So Sunday night when we were done, I did an all-nighter. I was supposed to finish this book and be tested on it the next day. And so didn't sleep, maybe got an hour of sleep, went to school. After school, went back to practice. My body was so tired and fatigued that when I went up to hit, I came back down and my knee and my ankle blew out. And it was during senior year. And so it was during the time, literally like the weeks to come were scouting season. And I already had colleges looking at me, and I was supposed to play in college. Like I was good enough even at 5'5" to play. And so when I finally was well enough to go back into the game, I had lost my proprioceptive and my balance. And so it wasn't, I didn't have vertigo, but there was something off with my gait, and I was shanking balls left and right. I could not get my skills back. It was so embarrassing. It was so mortifying. I was the captain, and then I got kind of like not removed as captain, but like, cause I'm not playing. So it was like my co-captain like ended up just kind of again. Fortunately, Sarah's not able, and so we're going to shift that over. So again, my identity has always been being a leader, being a captain. I was captain of the cheer squad, captain of the volleyball team, captain of every club possible, right? Because I was used to my resume being my value. So of course I'm going to try and be class president and class secretary and all these things because that's my identity. That's who I am. So anyways, that was really tough on me mentally. I wanted to play at Baylor, and so instead they're like, well, you can redshirt, and I was like, I'm not going to redshirt. Like, I'm not even like good enough really to do that anymore. And so then I ended up playing club and intramurals because I was able to finally get back my gait and my balance and all the things, but just not in time to actually play for the college. And then on top of that, I loved wakeboarding. I snowboarded, I skied. Countless incidents there, which again, I'm not even listing because there's so many. And then weird slipping and falling stuff. Oh, this is where the weird freak accident stuff comes in. So I've fallen at restaurants. I've hit my head in the bottom of restaurant floors. I've fallen at wineries and I've sprained my ankle and hit my head. I slipped and fell in my kitchen last year even but this is also, again, it was a part of God being like, hey, be still, know that I'm God. You need to slow down. And sure enough, I was going too fast. I was doing too many things. I was, trying to be social and work 14 hours and not sleep and, still keep everything perfect. And then it wasn't. I filled up the water for the dogs, wasn't paying attention. I went outside for about 10 minutes. So when I came back in, it was flooded because for 10 minutes, the water, after it fills the dog bowl up, it goes over the counter and fills the floor. So when I ran back in and noticed, I was like, oh my gosh. So then I ran to go turn off the water. And that's how I slipped and fell. I ran and slipped and fell in water. I tomahawked my head. And then that was after the dance concussion with my dance partner. That was like 3 weeks after. And who was there? There was some guy there, a plumber or electrician, and he saw it all. And he came and walked over me. And he goes, are you okay? And I looked up at him and I said, I hate my job. I hate my life right now. And I just started crying. And I was, because I story for another time. That season was just tough. And so, yeah. And then 3 weeks before that was when my dance partner dropped me on my head. I did a front flip and my head landed into the really hard dance floor. So yeah, slipping and falling like that. And then falling down cement stairs 8 feet when my head broke my fall, which actually Krav Maga, it's called a break fall. That saved my life. The doctor said that saved your life, knowing how to fall backwards, because that's one of the things they teach you in Krav is how to fall backwards on cement. So that way, if you're in a fight and someone pushes you downstairs or throws you off of a building, or even if you're just sparring and it's in the cement area, you know how to fall back so that you don't hit your head. I mean, I still hit my head, unfortunately, but it saved my spine. So he had said like it saved my life because it would have broken my whole spine. And so I had trained 5 hours. I was tired. I needed to go eat dinner. And then I was walking down the stairs in my cute little apartment in Westwood. And there was a 3-level lip. It was carpet, the plastic lip, and then the cement to go down to the stairs of the parking garage. I had my phone in my hand and my purse, and I was in a hurry. Again, if I could tell you one thing that God has taught me out of all these injuries is to slow down. Slow down. You're doing too much. Please be still. You're hurting yourself. You're going to hurt others. And so anyhow, I took a step and I lost my balance because of that lip. And I was wearing these like booty heels. And what happened is it rotated me backwards. And I had nothing to hold on to. I had things in my hand and I rotated backwards. And as I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be such a bad fall. But there was nothing I could grab onto. And so I was like, this is it. Anyways, fell down 8 feet, head broke my fall. I woke up to a neighbor who I guess had seen me, and I screamed, right? I screamed bloody murders. I was falling, and he was like, are you okay? Like, all the things. Anyways, they took me to the ER, did a bunch of scans, et cetera, et cetera. They tell me you're gonna have horrible post-concussion syndrome. You need a rest. Do you think I listened? Nope. Totally self-sabotage. I hurt myself on this next one. So they tell me that I cannot go back to Krav because of my brain injury. And they said, this is what they told me. They said, you need to resign from your company. You need to take medical leave. You need to not work for 6 months. You need to be in a dark room. You need to not be literally you need to be in a dark room for 6 months and sleep. So that way your brain can actually heal. I had just gotten divorced and that wasn't a possibility for me. One, because I didn't trust God that God would provide. The season relationship I had with God then was not that I trusted him. And I was like, you're funny. I am broke because my first husband stole all of my money, right? Stole my Social Security, built credit cards in my name, stole all the money we were making. Like when I left him and I found out we were like living paycheck to paycheck when we shouldn't have been, I don't remember how much we had. It was like maybe $800 in our account. I took $600 and left him $200, which I was like, I shouldn't have left him any. But yeah, so I was like, there's no way. Like, I can barely afford this apartment. I'm on such a crazy budget. And I was like, I have to work. My company's not going to understand that. I also didn't understand medical leave back then.
Mm-hmm.
Was I 25? I was 25. So I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was trying to work with a horrific concussion. And that was the first time in my entire life I had concussion symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I was like, I am struggling.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot think straight. I am nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
My vision is blurry, my neck, everything hurt from the fall too. I mean, my whole back was just covered in bruises. And this is where I wasn't wise. So he told me I needed to rest, couldn't go back until he said, you can't go back until you have any symptoms and you need to get a letter and approval. Well, I was testing for the next level of Krav Maga, and my partner, who was such a stud, she was a she. So I was like, I'm not going to lose my partner who's a female, because I don't want to take my test with a 6'1" man, because you can pick your partner for testing, but you can't pick your partners when you train in class. It's like first come, first serve. Whoever you land with, you land with. So I was like, I want to pass my test, which means I need a female who's my size, because it's like the test is like 8 hours.
Wow.
And so I went back to Krav and I said, hey, here's the situation. Can I just train, but no one touch my head? Like, can we just spar from the neck down so then I don't miss the test? Like, crazy. So I don't miss the test, and like I can still be on the level, the trajectory to still take it. So they make this announcement. I tell everyone Sarah has headgear on, no one touch her head. Like on all the drills, head down only. Like, so they approve it. Well, the assistant to the teacher wasn't paying attention. It was a new TA. One of the drills, which was so dumb. The drill was you close your eyes and they're emulating you being attacked in an alley. So your eyes are closed and it's dark. And the emulation or simulation is someone comes up and they hit you on the back of your head, or they hit you somewhere, right? And you can't see. So then you're like discombobulated, and then you have to open your eyes, and then you have to like figure out how to defend. Well, my eyes are closed because I'm like, everyone heard the announcement. So I'm like, I will for sure be hit neck down. So someone's going to just like punch me in the arm or punch me in the back. The TA winds up with a pad, clocks me in the head. I black out immediately because my head is so sensitive at this point.
Of course.
Then it puts me in a year-long post-concussion syndrome of the worst mental, psyche, physical issues. It was so tough on me. And so for that year, I couldn't even put my head below my heart. So I couldn't even touch my toes because my head was so, like my brain was so discombobulated. I couldn't work out. It was awful. It was so horrific. Mentally and emotionally, it was such a struggle for me, because that was the first time in my entire life that I was in a position for a year that I could not work out my pain physically. So this is the first time I was faced with emotional and mental, hey, you got divorced, you did Krav, you thought you were able to work through it by beating the pad or going in fights, but by the way, you still have a lot of deep-rooted anger. But because I didn't have a good relationship with God at this point, I still didn't work it out. So there was other ways that I would channel it. Drinking, going out with friends, partying, right? Again, the manifestation. It was still running. It was just in a different capacity. So then most of my life I've lived with severe headaches, except for 5 years ago, a chiropractor finally cured me and fixed my back and my spine from all the stuff, and also doing physical therapy and having a strong core and exercising and doing things that weren't hard on my body, right? Because I love the adrenaline and I love the adventure of, cage fighting and all those things. Oh, I also tore my labrum cage fighting. I forgot about that. So I was flipping a tire, and then afterwards we went into train, and then I was doing like these, I don't know, pull downs. And then I went into the cage to fight, and then we went back to pull downs, and my arm snapped and tore my labrum. So that was also another injury I faced. But again, it still wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to prune me of everything. And then had mono in college. Oh, another story from another time. I ended up having 41 food allergies, 60 environmental, after my first husband, because of the autoimmune. I ended up getting autoimmune disease, and from all the stress I underwent from the last 25 years of my life. And then internally, at some point the last few years, I ended up actually getting prediabetes, liver, pancreas, and kidney issues. The results say failure, but wasn't really failure. I mean, a little extreme. I'm alive, so clearly not. I ended up having some weird reactions to severe stress, like severe rashes and swollen eyes all over my body, which I'll show you photos later. It's pretty disgusting. We can actually post that for everyone on O.P.O.P so they can see how nasty my eyes were. But at this point, so this is actually recent, the prediabetes and the rashes and all that stuff. At this point, what's interesting is I am quickly finally getting into a position where I'm like, I need to deal with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you can see, and if we had more time and in more detail, you could actually see how in that sanctification process and in that pruning, I was making changes and I was making leeway, and I was getting healing and I was working through stuff, but there were still certain areas where God's like, not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got so bad though, emotionally, that I needed to deal with some stress and some hurt and pain in my life, that the emotional hardship was coming out through my eyes being swollen, rashes on my neck. So like I used to be able to handle high stress situations, and then all of a sudden, like my tolerance was nothing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I'm going to give you these crazy, horrific accidents to hope that I can pluck some gunk out of you. But at that point, it was like, it was getting so boiling up to the point of breaking point that like the most stressful situation, my eyes would blow up or swell up, or like if I would eat or drink something, I would get these rashes on my neck. And it's a weird story. And I have proof, so I promise I'm not lying, but I ended up getting parasites in my eyes. I don't know if you read that. Did you read that on here?
I did. I read it.
My best friends are like, yeah, remember the worms in your eyes? I'm like, yeah, let's not talk about it. So anyways, I'll tell you the story later, but the high level is a guy went to go kiss me. He saw movement in my eyes. He's a paramedic, not a guy. He was my ex-boyfriend. And we've made amends, and he's the one who struggled with alcoholism, and ended up apologizing and saying, I'm sorry for hurting you and physically abusing you and emotionally and verbally abusing you. And he's now sober and he's living a healthy life. And so we've had closure, and I've forgiven him. So I don't want to say just a guy, because it's like thank God that he is living a beautiful, godly life now, right? In the season of when we were together, he wasn't. But he ended up finding worms in my eyes. And that's like a horror story for another time. But because of that, they put me on tons and tons of parasite meds, but they didn't check my liver. And I had already had a bad liver. And so I didn't know any of this. And so that's what caused a lot of my health issues, because in order to get rid of the worms in my eyes, they needed to put me on these rounds of antibiotics or parasite meds. And it wrecked my liver, then wrecked my organs and wrecked all the internal stuff. And so that's why like prediabetes and all these things were coming out too. So, and then on top of that, the last 3 years, the doctors found that I don't make cholesterol. And so they had this big concern that I might have MS, because you need cholesterol to pad your myelin sheath, your myelin shield. And if you don't have enough cholesterol and fat and it breaks, that's what causes MS. And so then there was like fear of MS and like trying to make sure I'm eating and drinking and doing certain things and changing my life and blah, blah, blah. And then on top of that, last year, overworking, the identity of God being like, hey, by the way, your identity is not in work and not in your career. Please slow down. Please don't kill yourself for a job. I want you to be alive and well, and I'll be your provider. But again, another thing he had to strip from me, my identity in my career and who I was with work and my boundaries with work. And that led to me landing in the hospital because of Bell's palsy and TEDS, and almost having a stroke, and my thyroid shut down, and then a total body reset. And so anyhow, those are some of my injuries. And then on top of that, I also had HPV surgery. I ended up getting, if cancer was a 10, I ended up having precancerous cells of a 9. So they did an emergency surgery 2 weeks later. They did my pap smear, biopsy, and then after they got my biopsy, they're like, we need to get you scheduled now. And they took out a large chunk of my cervix. I had endometriosis, I had bone spurs, surgery on my shoulders for bone spurs, and my torn labrum. So for most of my life, I lived it pretty exhausted and tired and in pain. And the last few years, I have actually gotten to a point where I have become so much more healthy, but it's being intentional. And it goes along with that verse of those who work to keep their peace will be blessed. And so people, for the most part, think of peace being just mental and emotional piece. For me, it's a theme of my health.
Yeah.
How to keep my peace with my health, and how to make it work, and how to really rip away a lot of the junk that causes a lot of my health issues. And some of it's stress because I overdo it, and I say yes to too many things, and working on boundaries. Go ahead.
Well, that's why we picked these topics, because we realized how much this plays a role in things that also are part of your story, aside from injuries or aside from all of that. That's why I think so many people this is relatable to hopefully have these aha moments like we've both had, to go, oh my goodness, some of what I'm dealing with could stem all the way back from these injuries. And it ties into why we can't figure why sometimes the cycle won't end. And you realize then, oh my goodness, there's ties to this, to that season. So it's totally. And Lars just gave us the great red light buzz of, I got 5 minutes left, so we're gonna do a fun wrap up takeaway. So do you have any questions for me before I go into another section? I think you really did a good job tying in what your injuries were and filling in what God removed and what you're learning. I guess I would just say that I think what I heard you say is probably your biggest takeaways from all of this is which is funny because I didn't realize that was going to be the takeaway, to slow down. And when you said, I'm going to fly through this, I'm like, no, slow down. I actually didn't know that.
That's really funny.
So here we are still learning. And
so I'm truly learning every day.
Of course, everyone is. That's why it's relatable. And so I guess that's what I heard your takeaway being that. Are there any other personal takeaways that you wanted to share that helped you through?
Yeah, definitely. I have 5 pages left. It's all good. How to make this into 4 minutes. So yes, here are the takeaways. How physical ailments have played into stripping the false identity and the lies that Satan has told me. So lie number 1, value based on performance and what I do and can get done. Lie number 2, value based on how I hosted or events I threw. Lie number 3, I had value based on my money and career. I worked too hard and had no boundaries, destroyed my health, forced me to do nothing. I slept for days and hours. I couldn't even walk 3.5 miles an hour.
Which for most, that's a nice clip. For you, that was easy. Yeah, like a nice clip. Like speedy little clip. That's a little fast for most people.
That's true.
But that's how
yes, that's true.
much of an athlete you are. I'm just trying to make it make sense for people.
Yes,
that's how athletic you are.
Thank you.
That is like easy peasy for you.
Sure.
So carry on.
I should probably add no more than 10 minutes. I can only walk 3.5, and at 10 minutes I was like so wiped out. So that's all I could do for every day I would do, and sometimes it was 3.2 miles an hour. But yes, that's a good point. I'm sorry, people. I don't feel bad if you can only walk 3.2. To give you a context,
But for you, I
would run.
You were a sprinter. Man.
Yes,
you were so fast.
My jog was 6 miles an hour, 6 miles per hour. So
I know that from walking with you. You're speedy.
And then line number 3, my values based on my community. I couldn't throw events with friends. I lost some friends because I couldn't do things. And then value based off of what I offer. I couldn't offer anything last year. And I was like, yep, I can sleep and you can sit me with the couch. That's all I got, babe. And then takeaway, resting is okay. Be still and know that I am God. God wants you to rest. He wants you to take reprieve. He wants you to slow down. And it doesn't need to be a spiritual reason. It's just that it's good for your body physically. For me, it was spiritual. He needed to prove me and speak to me about leaving some stuff on the ground and kind of changing my life in some ways. And then on top of that, another takeaway is your perspective, my perspective. Sometimes people pray in a season of hardship, God, take this away from me. But a pastor told me, stop praying, take this away, and say, God, help me get through this and teach me what I need to learn in this season. And that gave me a different perspective and a different posture, being like, God, like, please just heal me. I'm so tired, which I still do. But it's also like, okay, God, like, what are you trying to teach me in this? What is it that you want me to know because clearly you're not taking it away right now. So how do I lean in and how do I grow and how do I work through it in a healthy way? So anyways, on that note, we're going to skip the other 4 pages.
Well, I know that you have some verses that really powered you through or that help you even now.
Yeah.
For these types of topics. So I would love for you to share those to wrap up today.
Absolutely. So my favorite is the fruit of the Spirit verse, Galatians 5:22-23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such thing there is no law. All of those are things that God has been trying desperately to work out within me.
Yeah.
Through these ailments and hardships. And then Romans 12:2, do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. This is a twofold verse. To me, it's challenging you to not conform to the world. The world's going to tell you, don't rest, don't feel, and numb your pain, emotional or physical. Drink and party, fill your time. Don't conform to the world. Today's culture is go as fast as you can, as hard as you can, and be as successful as you can. That is not at all what God wants for us. He wants us to be successful, and he wants to provide and give provision and have us bless others with generosity. But that is like his will for us is to just be in communion with him. That is the first and foremost important thing. And then on top of that, the second part of this verse is that you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And so in the seasons of hardship and pain, remembering God has a perfect will for me and it's good. And remembering that in this season to still hold on to that and not doubt. And then Psalm 51:17, a broken and contrite heart. That's misspelled. A broken and contrite heart God will not despise. Oh, I just added a typo. And so remembering that God actually shows up big time when we're hurting. And he wants to lean in and love you and say, hey, I got your back. I'm your best friend. I'm by your side. I know you may not feel it right now, but I am. And so just keep taking hope, taking heart. Your heart will not eventually hurt and it won't be contrite, but I got you. So those are some verses that are some good.
Thank you so much for being that vulnerable to share all of these and what you've learned, because I know that's going to be relatable to people in their own life because you shared yours. So to wrap up today, one of my friends told me, Stace, don't pray for patience. That's how you get experience in testing your patience.
Yes.
Pray for endurance.
That's amazing. I love it.
So take that note, people.
That's amazing.
All right. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you again, Sarah. Whoops. And on that note, this is O.P.O.P, the podcast, Operation Protect Our Peace. I'm Stacey.
And I'm Sarah.
Hey, Joy Stealers.
We're coming for you. Also, side note, don't you think we should say, hey, peace stealers? Because I realized the first 8 episodes, we've said joy stealers. We're not about joy. I mean, we are about joy.
But I think when people steal your joy, then your peace is robbed. So we can mix it up, though.
Okay, great. Guys, we're still keeping joy stealers.
You can surprise me if you won one day. Hey, peace stealers.
I almost did just now. Peace stealers. We're coming for you. All right, bye, y'all.